All right, cool. So this is a live stream from Johnny Sliver's Cackling Carnarium, and I'm gonna. This is the first episode. Oh, sorry, this is amateur streamer. All right, so what we're doing today, I am going to be doing some meta. Basically, there's a tournament coming up for EDH at not Cackling at Carnage Con 21. This is a gaming convention in Killington, Vermont. Happens every year, usually the first weekend in November. And this year, there's a Commanders tournament, and there is, let's see, they're going to do a Ravnica draft, and they're also going to be doing a Pauper tournament. I'm going to try, I've got some Pauper decks. I'm going to try and tune one of those and bring that for the tournament. But my goal is to try and do some kind of work with Amanatu and doing just trying to optimize the deck as much as possible. For some reason, I got it in my head that I wanted to run Palinchron loop, and I got the Palinchron, and then it realized that's right. You're supposed to run Palinchron in Animar, where you can get the extra ultimate discount and loop it infinite and not have to worry about high mana cost because it's Animar. But I went in on Amanatu for making an optimized deck, and that's the way it's going to go. So we're going to take a look at some Amanatu builds and see if I can whip up any, I don't know, see if we can find some ideas, get some go through the process of kind of brainstorming what I can do to make the deck better and kind of think about why the people put those decks together the way they did. So we're going to look at some EDH rec, and we'll look at some MTG Goldfish. Let's go ahead and get that screen shared right now. One moment, please. And there we go. And if anyone does show up in the chat, please go ahead and put some questions in there. I might not get them till afterwards, so I'll check those more towards the end. And if you have any suggestions or questions, go ahead and shoot them my way, and then we'll see what we can do. All right, there we are. Now let's go look at EDH Rec, or let's start here in EDH Rec. So similar decks. What are we looking at? Average counts. I think that's creature, instant, sorcery. What is that? Artifact, enchantment. I not used to EDH Rec, so I should probably get accustomed to this. And man, they got some really. I think I've looked at one of these really expensive decks here, and like the actual optimized. This looks like probably a very optimized deck. So we're seeing, yeah, like Gilded Drake here, Recruiter of the Guard, Snapcaster Mage, which I absolutely do not own. I definitely picked up an Auriok Salvagers, and I guess what I'm running into is there's definitely, I have this challenge where I've got all these things I want to put in the deck, and I don't have the means to actually, I don't know, get everything that I want out of the deck. I'm trying to decide whether I want to go with a Pillow Fort package or more of a counterspell package. The counterspell, counter magic, like control style is, I'm a red mage, so it's not really my usual way to go. I'm not used to that. The Auriok Salvagers, I like this idea. I'm trying to find a way to put more like one drop artifacts in there that could be useful, and trying to optimize those artifacts also. So between that and Trinket Mage, I'd like to try and maximize those in some way possible. I am going to run the Felidar Guardian loop. There's also a loop with Sun Titan and the Fiend Hunter, where I can use a couple of sacrifice outlets to go ahead and loop that out for I'm trying to run ETB loops ultimately. So the goal is to try and put together as many infinite loops as I can that I can feasibly get, and run as many tutors. I'm seeing some of the stuff I'm using here. Baleful Strix I've got in there. I don't have any of these guys. I do have Peregrine Drake. And is that really it? That's similar. They are running literally 10 creatures. All right. So it looks like they probably have some. I'll bet if we scroll down here, we'll probably find Equilibrium for the Peregrine Drake. And then this is definitely more of a counter package and control. Anguish Unmaking. I wonder if this is more for like might be a more 1v1 deck, just because I've got the tutor. I got Vampiric, Enlightened Tutor. I'm not running Swords and Path. I do have Swan Song, but I'm again not really running that right now because I feel like I want to go more of a Pillow Fort package, but that could be the wrong play. I'm not sure. And let's see here. Deprive. There's an idea. Hmm. And then for let's see, down in sort, yeah, I'm also going to be running demonic tutor, merciless eviction. That might have been an interesting and route. You may play route as though it had flash. Would pay 2 more, destroy all creatures. Hmm. And this, oh my god, yeah, I'm not playing a transmute. That's for sure. I don't have that kind of cash. Hmm. Let's see. And reshape. Let me just check something here. Do, 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 do. Mm-hmm. As I dawdle along here, don't mind me. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Did I or did I not? Maybe I didn't. Huh. Let's see if I can double check and invite some people in here. I thought it was going to automatically do that. Let's go ahead and. Let's see. All right. Yep. Back to here. Alrighty. Sweet. Let me check the time. It looks like it's dinner time in London. It is the late morning in on the West Coast, and Australia, I guess. Well, for all my Aussie friends, you might barely be waking up at this point. Okay, so let's see, and that's on Sydney time, so it's even later on out in the western end. All right, now we're looking at some Amanatu builds and some ideas, brainstorming for what we could possibly add into the deck. Um, Read the Bones, that's a neat idea. And then there's also the surveil version of Read the Bones. I don't know. I am finding when I'm goldfishing it, Amanatu's ability to kind of draw a card and then put something on top is more optimal for miracles. And I do have miracles in my precon deck that I have not modified yet, but I definitely I don't know. I don't know if I want to go miracles. Maybe run one or two, but I'm just trying to find room for what I've got in there right now, like trying to put the draw engines. I haven't put the list together yet, but I'll have to get that set up so I can share that list sometime soon. And the deck that I'm building, I'll probably be writing about that for my that article will probably hit early December, because it's not just going to be about the deck, but about the actual tournament, how it performed, the things that worked, the things that didn't work, that kind of thing. More of an after action review for when the deck goes. As far as artifacts, I'm definitely There's a lot of similarities to what I'm running as well. So for me, I'm running a Soul Vault or a Soul Ring, the 3 signets. I do have a Sensei's Divining Top. I don't have a Thought Vessel. That would be a really fun mana rock. I don't have one. I'd have to go looking for it, and I don't know. I kind of I already burned up my article cache on the upgrades I made already. So I kind of have to work with what I've got on hand. I am doing Altar of the Brood, and the thing I'm doing with I am running kind of a mill loop with either Altar of the Brood or I also have Altar of Dementia. The Altar of Dementia and Altar of the Brood are to put everything into the graveyard, and then I will be trying to infinite loop my mana in order to play Mnemonic Betrayal. Because when it comes to I'm imagining when it comes to any kind of competitive EDH, we're likely going to run into people with obviously Laboratory Maniac, and Vidalcan Ori is a big thing in, like, apparently it's important to a lot of people and people play it in a lot of their decks. So the last thing I want to do is say Prosperity, have everybody draw their entire deck, and then somebody decides to flash in their Laboratory Maniac and Bob's your uncle. It's done. I don't want that win condition to be hanging over me. I don't want to pass turn and say, go for it, and run the risk of somebody actually flashing in a Laboratory Maniac with no cards in their library. So with that being the case, I would want to mill them out first and then play my mnemonic betrayal and basically throw their entire deck at them. And that would be the goal for one of the loops that I'm doing. Uh, Naturally, since we're also going to be running some loops that are going to create infinite mana, we have the I do have a probably there should be. I'm surprised. Maybe they're not. This deck isn't going to be running. Oh, Helm of Obedience. That one. Oh, oh, yikes! Now I'm wishing I hadn't gotten out of those. Um, I do have also the Ashnod's Altar in my deck, so if I wanted to get mana out of that for infinite looping mana, especially if I'm going to do kind of like that Sun Titan and Fiend Hunter combo, where you just sack out the Fiend Hunter after you've exiled the Sun Titan. Every time the Sun Titan comes back, the Fiend Hunter enters the battlefield. That loop was brought to my attention by Langalia. That was a really cool loop, but that was brought to my attention. I had really never thought about it in the past. Enchantments, hidden stockpile. There's another. I forget. It's from the shards block. There's another artifactual enchantment that creates a bunch of Thopter tokens, and that would be probably a better way to go. I don't know what the name of it is. I'm blanking on it at the moment. And then rest in peace. I do have that. I have like a stack of cards I have in the sideboard. Planeswalkers. I don't really have a lot of Planeswalkers in my deck. I'm kind of leaning more on that Pillow Fort idea. Lands wise, I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that I'm running as well. I don't have the Marsh Flats, but I am running whatever fetch lands I can that will get anything I've got. I have Glacial Fortress, a Drowned Catacomb, Isolated Chapel. I'm not running as many dual lands in mine. I definitely don't have Scrubland or Tundra, but I'm also running fewer dual lands just because I don't want to be getting hung up on Blood Moon. And I think between that and the mana rocks that I have, that should be enough fixing for what I want to do. Gemstone Mine, I definitely have that in there, and that would be. I like that one in the Amanatu decks because you can get more value out of that. You can keep it alive longer. You can blink that out with Amanatu and not have to worry about running out of the counters. I definitely got my hands on a Cyclonic Rift. As far as recommended additions, as far as like Wrath spells in the deck that I'm building, I don't have a lot of the classic Wrath spells. I definitely have Cyclonic Rift. I'm also running Capsize as well. Uh, Mostly if I'm going to have that infinite mana loop, I can also capsize the entire board and either slow everything down or just kind of force people into a concession because I can put them so far behind, there's no way they would catch up. I don't know. I do have Ristic Studies in there. That's for sure. I am running a Mold Drifter, and I gotta find room for a Gilded Lotus, and actually the Commander Sphere. I'm gonna write that down. I gotta find a Commander Sphere. I think I've got one. I should find it for sure. And a Toxic Deluge. I'm probably gonna have to get going into my precons to find some of those, but I gotta get that Commander Sphere and a Toxic Deluge. And then Deluge. All right. And one of these days, I'm going to figure out some music so we can have a not such awkward dead silence in the middle of the streams. But let's see. Mull Drifter I've gotten there, and it's my only apprehension about the Mull Drifter is that I like the idea of having as many of my cards being retrievable with Sun Titan. If I'm going to have Sun Titan in the deck, I do like the idea of being able to just bounce them back and get them back with Sun Titan. I did pick up a paradox engine to see if I could kind of break that with infinite ETBs. We can start untapping our mana rocks. I don't know if it's worth it. I got to play test a little more to see if it works out. I'm not used to this style of deck. I'm not used to trying to run this game plan. And it looks like this deck we were looking at was a very optimized deck. So we could probably let's go take a look at something else. Similar decks. Let's see something a little lower on budget here. We're running a heavier creature package. Let's see. Again, Felidar Guardian, Cloud Blazer, like second version of Muldrifter. That's interesting, especially if we have the blinking options. I am not running Yanet. I do have a Gonti, kind of in my sideboard, so to speak. And again, still don't have the Gilded Drake. It's too rich for my blood. Of course, once upon a time back in the day, I owned a couple of those, and naturally, I'm kicking myself. I do have my Mystical Tutor. I also have the Merchant Scroll, but I don't know if I would be using it for anything. And I do have an Arcane Denial somewhere, so I'd probably have to go looking around for that. Let's see. And again, yeah, and I'm torn. Like, if I were going to run something like Merchant Scroll, I feel like this would be one of the primary reasons to have it in there. If I'm gonna go searching up a blue instant resort, the Merchant Scroll what was that? Merchant Scroll is not in here. But I've seen some builds like this with Merchant Scroll. And I think if I'm gonna go to the trouble of searching up a blue spell, I think it's blue instant or sorcery. Um, I would go with lean on Supreme Verdict and add that as like a third Wrath spell for what I'm doing. Let's see. And then the talismans, these would be great to get my hands on too. I don't have any of these available. And I wonder if they ever did enemy colored talismans. I think they only ever I think they only ever made them with the allied colors. I never could really. I mean, I guess because it's blue white, I don't know why that price point would be so different. But that's what's going on EDH Rec. Let's see. There's a sample deck here on. Let's take a look at the sample deck here on Goldfish, Baleful Strix, Pilgrim's Eye. Got some Thassa. What's Thassa doing? Card Kingdom is 15. Man, the gods really held that value. Like, they really appreciated. It wasn't like one of those fast, spiky kind of things, but they definitely kept their value. I gotta say, that's pretty nice to see. I know I'm gonna go off script here. I think actually Perforos was doing something funky. Perforos? Where's Perforos? No? Huh. Let's go look at Star City. Here, we'll go Card Sphere. Gotta give the shout outs where the shout outs are due. Cardsphere, cardsphere.com. Proud unofficial quasi sponsor of Cackling Carnarium. So let's see. Go to the Explore. Magic cards. Perforos, God of the Forge. A $16, $17 god. That's really interesting. Erebos. Oh, didn't find it. Elspeth, nice. Oh wow, they're showing off that new art. Yeah, that's that new Ravnica shiny thing. I don't know how I feel. I wasn't happy about how they implemented the sales of that. I'm gonna search by. What else can we search by? Guarantee? Oh, we're getting off track. All right, so going back here. Looking for ideas. Ninja the Deep Hour. Definitely have one of those. Don't know if I want to run it. And yeah, it's really kind of just this brainstorming process right now to figure out how I want to ultimately I want to do infinite loops. I don't know. That's just my impulse. When I'm looking at this deck, that's how I want to run it. I don't know if it's the right answer. It may not be. Um, I think. Oh, I can show you one of the ones I do like. One of the cards I've gotten here that I do like. Consecrated Sphinx. There we are. This guy. This guy right here, Consecrated Sphinx. This is some broken, yeah, broken shenanigans. Just having this stick for one turn around the table would be could really really alters the game. If this card manages to stick around for one turn around a game table of EDH, especially early enough in the game where all four players are available at the tournament, like in a tournament setting, that's six cards on the draw. That card pays for itself. Like right there, you pay one mana per card drawn. It would be bananas. Um, and the fact that it's a 4/6 flyer, it's a really good defender. I have this in my deck because I'm trying to find some more. I'm trying to find some more ways to draw cards. I'm thinking about putting Infernal Tribute in the deck as well. There it is. Infernal Tribute, originally from Weatherlight. I believe it is also a reserve list card. Once upon a time, this was a cheapie. You could have found these for $1 over a year ago. About 12 months ago, yeah, you could have found this for $1. It looks like it's spiked up here to the $6 range and it's kind of settled back down. $4, I think, is fair for what the card is doing. The only downside, the fact that it is triple black, makes it a much more challenging draw engine to work with, and it is a bit of a challenge. You know, it is pretty harsh when you have to sacrifice one of the cards you have in play to draw a card. However, if you're in a top decking situation and you end up drawing a land that you don't need, you basically just you play that land and pay one more. You're paying one to play that land and destroy it to go and draw up another card and get something of value. This can be very handy, especially if you pair this up with something like Zolaport Cutthroat or the Blood Artist. You can get some more value out of it that way. But this enchantment being what it is, the triple black is I think its biggest drawback. The fact that you have to go triple black just to get it into play is a little more challenging in the Amanatu deck when you're going 3-color, but it's not impossible. I worked a Gilded Lotus in there to kind of help manage that. I think we're doing a couple other draw engines. There's blanking on the enchantment. I should know this. Let me go see. Let me go dig that up. So yeah, it's from Ixalan. I can't. I'm just blanking on the name of it right now, but it is one of those flip enchantments where you pay. It costs one in the black to enter the battlefield or to play it, and then when it flips over, you pay two. You pay one in a black to pay 2 life and draw 1 card. And then when you get to 5 life or less, it flips over. You can start sacrificing creatures to it in order to gain life equal, I think, to the toughness. I will find that card in just a moment. We'll explain what it is. Here we go. Argles. Let me get this on the screen. Argles Bloodfast. Argles Bloodfast. I just want to say Yargles Bloodfast. All right, so Argles Bloodfast. It's 1 in a black enchantment. Pay 1 in a black and pay 2 life. Draw a card at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 5 or less life, you may transform Argles Bloodfast, and that flips over. And you tap it to sacrifice a creature, gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. In this deck, I have no expectations of this actually ever flipping over and turning into a land. It is more value to me to be able to draw cards or draw into something that, like, if I get into a mana loop, I will draw out until I will get what I need. I'm running a Soul Sister package as well, so chances are if I'm running some kind of a loop where I'm getting value out of Peregrine Drake or Cloud of Fairies, and then I'm getting life gain out of that, by then I will have made enough mana and made enough life to be able to use something like the Argos Bloodfast and just draw into whatever I need to take out the rest of the game, like the Torment of Hailfire, Exsanguinate, or something like the pneumonic betrayal. The betrayal is a little trickier because you have to count on enough stuff in the graveyard, and the deck that I'm building has the means to put those cards in the graveyard, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get there. The infinite mana is going to be more useful for something like the torment or the exsanguinate. And then multitasking. And then yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. I'm looking at doing a deck, building a deck around Amanatu and trying to infinite loop. Now the question of how to protect the loops, whether I need to do counterspell protection, or I don't know, it might need to be counterspell. Basically, I'm gonna have to get away from the whole pillow fort idea. But pillow fort, the types of cards I'm using for pillow fort aren't just like propaganda and ghostly prison. We're talking about using defense grid. Like, let me show you what I got here. So one of the cards I want to use is defense grid. There we go. Show me defense grid. All right, defense grid. It is 2 for an artifact. Oh, and it got reprinted in 8th edition. Nice. So this was originally from, I believe, Urza's Legacy. I might be getting that wrong, but it's back from the Urza block, and it's a 2-mana artifact where during each player's turn, each other player's spells costs 3 more to play. So it's kind of like a group hug mana leak, like across the board. So nobody can play a spell unless they pay an additional 3 to actually make that happen. Oh, I have a weather alert. Don't worry. All right, so nice to see. Oh my, that's getting up there. That's like pushing $10. All right, that's a solid card. In EDH, it definitely applies. There's a couple other cards that I'm considering for a pillow fort package. Let's see, Pendril Mists. Pendlehaven? No, Pendril Mist. There we go. This is the other one. I'm thinking about this one because during each player's upkeep, pay 1 or bury the creature. This could grind things down really fast. Really put a hurting on people. And this card used to be one of those cheapies. Again, this is another reserve list card. Once upon a time, even further back, I think if we go looking all the way back to before the great reserve list spikes, where did it see the first spikes? We saw a first spike back here in what? 2016. It saw a spike up from its $1.60. It was $1. Yeah, this was like a $1 card for the longest time. But again, that reserve list status really does a number on its actual expense. What did that spike up to all the way? Wow, I think broke $20 at one point. That's it broke 30. It got up to $30. Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. Seriously, yeah, these buyouts are insane. What was the top buyout there? At the peak, it peaked at $57 for like a day. Oh my god. That's such a joke. Give me a break. When it comes to reserve lists, I watch Rudy from Alpha Investments, much to some people's chagrin, and I'm sure just talking about this I'll lose a follower or whatever. But any case, I think for all of his antics, I think Rudy has some interesting insights, and it's worth taking some of the data into consideration. But like the idea that the market's cooling off on the reserve list cards is something to think about. I'm looking at this card. I don't think it's a $17 card. I don't really think it's worth that much, but because it's Weatherlight, which wasn't that terribly big of a print run, I don't think, and because it's reserve list, it's going to be harder to find them for under this. But I'm happy I have the copy I do have, and I do have one available for running that kind of a pillow fort. It's just a question of, am I at a table that's going to have a lot of tokens going on? I have to take a look at, let's take a look at the top decks. What are we running into? I'm looking at my deck, but really we should be looking at what are the top decks? What am I encountering? Tools, meta. Nah, no. Hang on. We'll get there. Decks, meta, commander. and Atraxa and Edgar and Marin and Muldrotha. So good lord. So in like these two of the biggest decks that are going to be showing up probably will be stuff like Marin and Muldrotha and Atraxa. And this Atraxa is just rough because you can build a janky deck around Atraxa and just do like Atraxa value. They don't even have to be synergized. They just have to be good cards, and this will get this crazy. It'll get there. Like when the anthology came out at my local play group, I saw Muldrotha and Atraxa decks just pop up because they became available again. Some of the guys bought the decks, bought the anthologies. And it's insane to watch like Atraxa value just roll, and that's it. It's like they're hard to kill. They have all the colors they need for graveyard retrieval. They have all the colors they need for control. Whatever they want to do, you can do whatever you want with Atraxa. When it comes to Muldrotha, that is one of the most resilient graveyard decks I have ever seen. It is just disgusting how efficient that deck is, and I I'm counting, and the reason I'm going them, this is part of the reason I'm running a Mnemonic Betrayal combo, is because even if I don't get that kind of a loop where I mill everyone's deck out, these two right here, Marin and Muldrotha, they're gonna, if one of those decks are at the table, I'm gonna have some tools to work with if I can get that Mnemonic Betrayal to go off. Um, and because I'm kind of, the deck going with Amanatu, I have access to life gain. I don't know, I can get around a bunch of stuff. Markov, this is why I would run a pillow for. This is why I'm like leaning on stuff like Markov and Brea. If they're showing up, there's a very good chance we're looking at tokens. And run it, and we've got like, here we go. Yeah, this is like if I'm going to Goldfish, and these are the top 8 decks showing up on Goldfish. Let's see what MTs do we have. My apologies to my one viewer, uh, where it's not just me. Yeah, I definitely am getting used to using these websites and seeing what's up. Let's go to top commanders here. Okay, there we go. All right, again, here we are. Top commanders, what people are brewing. Oh my god. Muldrotha, Atraxa, Niv Mizzet, Paran. Wow. People are building it. Wow. That's so in the last week, the top decks are these little boogers right here. Lavaz. Oh, another Lavaz deck. Okay. See, this is encouraging. So when when I want to steal stuff from graveyards, it's nice to see that these cards, these commanders are up there just in the last week. Animar's there. Now let's see what else for in the last month. Still again, Muldrotha. Oh, there we go. There's Amanatu. I'm also, yeah, part of the things I'm also running a Pithing Needle in the deck with the idea that I might need to shut down someone else's Amanatu deck. So Pithing Needle would be one to run for just saying, if I see another Amanatu deck, I'll shut down Amanatu, assuming there's no other commander that's a worse threat. I definitely don't want somebody else. If I see Amanatu, I'm gonna have to worry about miracles or loops like what I'm doing. So I'd rather know that I've got a whole bunch of loops built in and be resilient in that sense. Top of all time. Let's see. Kalia the Vast. Atraxa. That's madness, man. That card is everywhere. That commander is just command. All right, so this is that whole meta. Like, what could I possibly run into a tournament? I imagine I'd run into some of these things, unless it's like an old school player that has a ton of power and all the power mana rocks that you can play in EDH. Nekazar, that's the one I would be worried about. I'd be worried about running into a Nekazar deck with something where I might draw out. I don't know if I'm not running Prosperity at the moment, but it's something I'm thinking about. But yeah, I think now that I'm looking at this, I'm feeling much more comfortable with the idea of trying to run a steal all of your graveyard stuff shenanigans. And I'm hoping if I see, yeah, if Brea's likely going to show up and other token decks are going to start showing up, then I definitely think a Pillow Fort strategy might be worth trying it out, especially with Edgar. This would be broken. If he showed up, that would be a problem at a tournament. That would make it very, very painful. So, well, let's see. I think that's the story for now. So, check my time. Yeah. Well, I just needed to hop on here for a little bit, talk about my thought process, share that with you all. Hope this was handy, interesting, just kind of looking at meta. I'm going to be exploring more decks down the road. As far as articles I'll be writing up for Cardsphere in the near future, the Amanatu deck tech kind of after action review, that will be more towards written in November, and I'll be getting that set up for like the December release. In November, for when we get the release of the next article, I'm going to be doing a super stock series. So one of the things when I was talking with Ted at Cardsphere about what I'd be writing about, I had this idea. Did this thing one time. I did a mashup. I took two commander decks that had the same color scheme, and I decided to put them together. I wanted to mash them up. I did a video for it. I think that video is long gone. I'm just kind of starting over here. But the idea is to do either mashups or what I wanted to call super stock series, where we're just going to be brewing with the actual cards from the commander series. Any card, like take a commander from the precons, one of the precons, any of them, and then brew a deck with that commander using only the cards that are available in any of the commander precon decks. So there's almost like this subset. It's the idea being there are many levels of power when you're playing commander. There are many kind of like you can play competitive or casual or just somewhere in the middle. And the idea is people who play this game casually and are fans of Commander and buy all of, if not most of, the Commander decks will likely have a lot of these tools available for making modifications. So when they buy a new Commander deck and they've bought 15 of the previous Commander decks, they probably have other tools available. So what I want to do is make a deck based on just the Commander cards as a kind of the next step up for modifications. So for people who haven't been playing since 95, for people who don't have vast amounts of money to like put into really expensive power cards for Commander, you have your Commander decks and you can make your modifications and find the synergies. A lot of these decks will be built with 2 or 3 actual subplots in them, some kind of, different strategies going on. And those strategies are going to be kind of watered down because you only have so many things you can do in one precon. However, some of those strategies are repeated in other decks. And if you find those decks and pull those pieces out to kind of solidify that strategy, you can build a stronger deck with the precons. Maybe it won't win you a tournament, but it will definitely be a stronger build for casual play. So that article series is going to be aimed at more of the casual player looking to make mods to the precons that are within their maybe budget range, or incidentally are cards that they would have because they've bought these previous products. So that's going to be the goal with the precons. That's I'm not going to spoil exactly which one I'm writing about, but we will be releasing that one towards the end of the month, or I'll be getting that into TED by the end of the month, and we'll be seeing that in early November. So there it is. That is the first quasi-organized Cackling Carnarium, and I will be doing more of these periodically. No regular schedule. Sorry about that. It's going to be kind of as I can. My most regularly scheduled stuff will be happening actually on Tuesday nights. Today will be another episode of 10th Street Hooligans. You can find me there at 9 p.m. and we'll be talking some stuff, and it might be sometimes I regret life choices, and it's only sometimes I feel like that with 10th Street. But it's all good. It's good humor. It's a lot of fun. It's a great crew to work with. So if you can catch us over there, that'll be a good conversation. So by all means, check us out. And by all means, if you have trades that you need to make, or you're looking to even make purchases online, you can go to cardsphere.com and they have all kinds of goodies. By all means, check them out. They're doing some numbers here. They got over 15,000 users. They've done $1.6 million worth of trades of all time. That's a lot of cardboard. That's pretty good. So, if you got to move some cardboard, do it through Cardsphere. That's the way to do it. All right. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you around. Have a great day.